All right, what's up, guys? So, there's two things I want to talk about today, but I'm going to focus on one. The one thing I want to talk about that I'm not going to talk about is I think YouTube is maybe destroying its own monopoly, but we'll worry about that tomorrow. So, tune back in tomorrow if you want to hear about that. Today, we're going to talk about something that happened a little while ago, but it happened while I was in the void, so I didn't get the chance to speak on it like I wanted to. We're going to talk about the Raja Jackson incident. Uh, while we do that, we're having hazelnut today. It's been a while since I switched it up with the coffee. Today I ripped open a bunch of the Giant Eagle hazelnut K cups, poured them in the drip coffee maker, and it's currently in the process. We're almost there at the 4 cup mark to fill our giant ass coffee mug. I apologize if I'm a little low energy today and distracted. I got stung by a bee on the back of my neck yesterday, and I'm not super allergic anymore. But when I was younger, there was a time where I was deathly allergic. One put me in the hospital, and like I almost died to an allergic reaction. It wasn't super bad. I just had some swelling oddly on my triceps, and I got like dizzy and lightheaded. But I kind of feel like I was like in my own MMA fight yesterday. It's weird all the shit I've survived, but a tiny little fucking insect can mess me up like that. It feels like I've got aches all over my body. Didn't sleep well last night, but I'm still kicking. I'm still here. So one of the things. All right, let's pour this coffee first. Um, I think Raja deserves some grace. Now, I'm not going to absolve him by any means from what he did, but I don't think a lot of people understand just how much a severe concussion like that fucks you up. I don't know how many people have experienced concussions in their life. I've had one minor one and one major one perfectly. Personally, holy shit, I just can't talk. I'm definitely a little off my game today, but the uh, the major one fucked me up so bad, I wasn't even myself for like an entire week. In fact, the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life happened to me during that. So it's kind of, when you're severely concussed, it's kind of like one of those nightmares. I don't know if you ever had one of those where you're watching someone else do something with your body, or you're like behind the eyes of some kind of monster or evil piece of shit that you have no control over. Not saying that you're always going to do bad things, but I think we can all agree what happened in the ring with Raja was definitely not a good thing, right? So, then when you come out of that concussion, let me get a sip of this and then we'll go sit outside. You kind of gotta watch the whole thing replay, because the worst part of it is the memories of what happened when you were severely concussed. They don't fade the way a nightmare does. So it's even worse than one of those nightmares, especially because it all happened. I remember someone else who had a severe concussion. My minor concussion was in high school. And I remember someone else who had a severe concussion in high school. And like he was just goofy as hell. When you're dealing with a serious head injury like that, you're just literally not yourself. You're an entirely different person. You lose all sense of decision making capabilities, and I would say probably emotional regulation too. It of course depends on where precisely you were struck, what parts of your brain are affected. But I have both watched and experienced what a very extreme severe concussion can do to someone. And based off the fact that he was still feeling pain and puking from that, I'm going to say that he should have never been playing paintball. He should have never gone to that event. He really should have just been at home, maybe even in the hospital with people taking care of him to make sure something like that never happened. Honestly, the one person I am most upset about over the whole situation is his dad. And after that, the gay cowboy wrestler dude that got thankfully fired because he just made the whole situation worse. So I think this is a perfect reminder that it's really important to be careful who you allow around you in your life, right? Because if Raja had better people around him, I don't think this would have ever happened. I think they would have never let him do any of that in the first place. And I think the worst part really was his dad calling to like talk shit on him when he was in that situation, right? The stream chat is one thing. And you could even argue that that's partially his fault for going live and letting them egg him on like that. But again, your decision making process is totally fucked when you're really seriously concussed like that. And I think the biggest issue really was his dad calling him and talking shit on him like that. Because, one, as a father, you have a responsibility to your son to show him a better way. Two, like, it's one thing to say, you know what, I'm not going to stream today, but it's an entirely different thing to, like, see a call from a parent and decide not to pick that up, right? One of the big things that I think it also is really important is that I don't know his name, the cowboy in the fucking booty shorts. He told Raja to give him a receipt, and in the wrestling community, that means to give them a good jab, like a real hit, not a pulled punch. I think just about everyone knows that pretty much all wrestling is scripted. Now, at some points there have definitely been some interesting things that happened that weren't scripted or people went off script, and that's generally what a receipt means. Like if someone gets a little wild and like say I forget, I watched the Luesta video this week, where on his Lou Extras channel, I think, where he was talking about some guy who was an up and comer and still a bit new to wrestling, and the guy kind of need Brock Lesnar in the head a little bit hard. So Brock Lesnar gave him a receipt by punching him in the head kind of hard. And then they had a little conversation off stage afterwards, cleared it all up, and they're totally chill with each other. And in interviews later, the guy was like, yeah, I fucking deserved it, right? Stu did not deserve what happened to him. Now, did he deserve something? Yeah, probably. You know, you watch the video and there's two things. One, well, I'd say there's three things. And the first thing, it all comes back to Raja just not having the right kind of people around him, right? Stu thought it was part of the show. A bunch of cameras around, dudes just walking up to him, talking shit and things. So he makes a show out of it. Smashes a beer can on his head. Now, some of the wrestlers said he should have never smashed the beer can. That's like too far, even if it is part of the show. That's, if you watch afterwards, they're like grabbing Stu, like, yo, he's not a worker, man. I don't know. I don't know enough about the wrestling world to know if the beer can was too far. It has been confirmed that it wasn't a prop and was a real beer can, though, which is one of the reasons I'm glad I waited a little bit, because we have a bunch more information. It turns out that apparently, again, this is all hearsay, so make your own judgments. I think Raja has even more leeway, though, because apparently one of the promoters themselves, not even the the cowboy dude, came up to him and said, yeah, so go ahead, give him a receipt. I think the cowboy dude said to give him, he wasn't clear. He said he meant for Raja to only give him one punch, but that clearly didn't happen. Two, he needs to acknowledge that this is just a young dude that wasn't part of the industry, and on top of that, was a real fighter. Apparently, one of the promoters came up to Raja and said, hey, yeah, just go out and swing on him a couple times. We'll have someone come pull you off. It'll be cool. And if that's true, then it's totally understandable why he hit him more than once. Now, it's pretty terrible to watch, but would you go watch? I don't recommend you watch it if you have a weak stomach or have any difficulty with that type of stuff. But when you watch it, it's pretty clear the dude is throwing real punches the whole time, and the part that is rough is Stu's pretty clearly knocked out. And I really want to say that you should never be hitting on someone at all, but especially like that when they're not even conscious. However, I go and I look at the fact that the dude was very seriously concussed, and his decision-making process was probably utterly fried. And then you take, on top of that, Not even his kick chat, because that is what it is. But really, his dad calling him up and talking shit on him and for getting punked like that. Well, when you are concussed, you are often very suggestible. It's like uh, you kind of just do what people tell you. And I remember the guy in high school specifically, like uh, the dudes that he was in class with, they were just telling him to do kind of dumb things, and he would just do it without thinking. It's very easy to convince someone to do something when they have an extreme head injury like that. So his chat egging him on was one thing. His dad calling him up like that, another thing entirely. I I think the greatest burden of guilt lies on Rampage Jackson, because that was just entirely unacceptable to me. I think the promoter and the cowboy that both set that up so it happened that way are responsible as well. The guy should have never been in the ring to begin with. The guy probably should have been in his house with like a friend or two, making sure he didn't do any stupid excuse me, making sure he didn't do any stupid shit, instead of running around playing paintball, going to wrestling matches. Like, severe head injuries totally fuck you up, and you can make that shit worse if you're just messing around. Not to mention the fact that your decision making process is fried, and you're highly suggestible and have a lack of emotional control when you're experiencing that. I and people talk about he didn't show like any remorse or anything after that. I mean, I've even got room to give him a little grace for that too, because my concussion, my bad one, lasted for about a week. And then when it finally went away, I came out of it, and it was terrible, to be honest, because I had to come to terms with everything that happened during that week. And it was like waking up from a week long nightmare, except everything had actually happened and it was all true. So I I think he's pretty much stayed out of the media since then. I haven't really been following the situation because I got my own shit going on, and I think the media has been distracted by the whole Charlie Kirk tragedy. But I wouldn't be surprised if on the other side of that concussion that he was in, Raja probably feels terrible now. So I think we all need to do a better job of giving each other some grace. And we also need to do a better job of making sure we're surrounded by the right people. And it's sad to say it, but sometimes the wrong people are your own family, right? I just really can't get over his dad calling him and basically talking him into doing that. And the thing is, I I honestly think the promoter's more responsible for what happened than the cowboy dude, because apparently the promoter even went to one of the other wrestlers and was like, "Hey, I want you to go in and be ready in case something happens." Uh, this guy was apparently selected because he was the only other real fighter there. The only guy that had any type of legit fighting experience that wasn't just an actor, you know? So they kind of set Raja up for failure. And I don't want to see anyone get beat like that. But at the same time, he never should have been in that ring. He never should have even been out of the house, in all honesty. So I think a lot of people are mad that he hasn't been brought up on attempted murder charges or assault and battery charges. I don't know if I'd even agree with bringing him up on any kind of charges. I think at most should probably just put him in a hospital and maybe have him do community service or something. At worst, I don't think the guy deserves attempted murder charges or even any kind of felonious battery or anything like that. I, based on just how badly concussed he was, of course, you'd need a medical professional to testify in any kind of court case. But I think that's probably also one of the reasons why they haven't brought him up on charges. Because if he was seriously concussed enough that he was still puking in the morning and stuff, then there is a very likely chance that it's almost impossible to, not almost impossible, but very, very difficult to effectively charge him with any crime because he wasn't really in control of his actions. Now, does that excuse it entirely? No, but because again, I think going back to the whole cause and effect thing, Raja should have been surrounding himself with better people. But the difficult part becomes his father being involved with the whole thing, because separating yourself from toxic family is one of the most difficult things anyone can do, right? Because you still love them no matter how fucking terrible they are to you or how much they ruin your life. But he should have had better friends around him that wouldn't have taken him out paintballing when he was puking, that wouldn't have taken him to a fucking wrestling match where he got hit on the head again before he even went into the ring. So God knows if that caused anything else. Because once you get one concussion, you're far more susceptible to additional damage. The whole thing's messed up. And I don't want to see that young man's life ruined over something that he may have not had any control over. Of course, only him and God really knows what happened when he was beating the hell out of Stu. But I think the whole situation is just kind of messed up. And the burden of guilt really lies upon his father first. The promoter that allowed the whole thing to happen second, and the cowboy dude that was kind of giving him the tour and told him to give a receipt without being more explicit about it third. So I think especially in the wake of all the craziness going on right now, it's important to, first of all, pay attention to who you surround yourself with, because those are going to be the people that are there when you're going through the worst moment of your life. And look at them honestly and ask, is this person going to help me, or is this person going to take advantage of me? And the second thing is, I think we need to do a better job of loving everyone and giving everyone a little more grace, because even after the initial confrontation, they seemed to work it out where they were kind of chill until his father called him and his Twitch chat, his Kick chat started egging him on, and he got all upset about it again. So, yeah, just watch who you spend time with and do your best to love everyone better. And that's all I really have today. I apologize that I'm so rambly. I'm just exhausted from the damn bee sting. Not very focused. My neck still kind of feels like it's on fire. But yeah, uh, that's all I have to say today. Before I lose my train of thought again, I'm just going to say I love all of you and God bless. Cheers.